Javed Abdi Foundation, JAF, which also stands for Journalism, Advocacy and Fun. Please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, like, comment, and share.
Nipun, I think the next question is, I'll read it out. So Anubha Singhal is asking, uh, at times I have seen restaurants which are accessible, but they have removed themselves from wheelchair accessibility on Zomato because of some incident and afraid about getting into legal obligations. So then she asks again, so how are we keeping a check on wheelchair accessibility filter at restaurants? And many are such who have even steps are labeled under wheelchair accessible tag. So Nipun, over to you.
Yeah, no, I think Anubhav's question is a very good question, and this is a question I get often asked when I talk about the thing with Zomato. Of course, Zomato's wheelchair access filter is not perfect, and I think anything when it starts is not perfect. Agar aapko yaad hai, Google Maps when it started, it was not perfect, but over time, of course, it kept getting better, right? So I think Zomato's wheelchair access filter is also something that is continuously evolving. And I think when you see a restaurant that says that it's wheelchair accessible, but it is not accessible, I think it is our responsibility to write in the reviews or to write to Zomato and inform them that that particular restaurant is not accessible and that it is falsely saying that it is accessible. A lot of the data in these aggregators is publicly collected. So I think we need to be responsible in that sense to report back that a restaurant has wrongly been considered accessible. And I've actually done that. And Zomato has been very fast in responding whenever I have done that or I know people who have done that. She also asked another question that there are restaurants that are accessible and that they've removed themselves from wheelchair accessibility on Zomato because of some incident. I mean, if restaurants do not really want to call themselves wheelchair accessible in that sense, and they've consciously removed themselves because of some incident, I don't know. I would feel uncomfortable working with a corporate and giving them the money if they do not want to, do it in that sense. So I think for me, morally, I would not want to go to such a restaurant.
Yeah. Nipun, some of the other questions, just give me 1 second. I have them on my phone. The volunteers basically they correlate all the things that they get, and there's a special number also that people can send their questions at. So yeah, give me 1 second. Okay, so another question that I have is, so you talked a lot about accessibilities when it comes to buses and transportation systems and filing PILs, but can you run us through some exactly how is it that you identified an issue, right? Because there's a big difference between just seeing things, like we see things as like issues on a daily basis के प्रॉब्लम ये है बाहर जाते हैं तो 10 जगह आपको दिखते हैं कि रैम्प्स नहीं है या 10 जगह आपको देखते हैं कि टैक्टाइल टाइल्स खराब तरीके से लगे हुए हैं, है ना? But identifying an issue and making it into an advocacy point and taking it to the courts, like how do you do that? Since you have experience with going to the courts, then because you must be coming through a lot of barriers and facing a lot of like different issues, so how do you pick and choose? Because you, like you also said that you have so many battles that you're fighting, right? So what do you do to pick and choose your battles?
No, I think that is a very good question. I think especially for a person with a disability themselves, I think one of the advantages in terms of advocacy is that when we face some discrimination and something hurts us, we obviously want to take action and completely uh, push for it in that sense. Like, for example, that restaurant incident was one incident where I was, of course, hurt, and that's what I did it. When we worked with the CSF to e-security procedures for persons with disabilities at airports, and that was in fact actually a joint collective action to e-security procedures where the late Mr. Abidi was also involved. Dr. Satendra Singh was another big disability rights activist. I'm sure a lot of people here would know about, was involved, etc. That was a non-court thing, right? Where uh, I had been writing regularly to CSF. There were a lot of other people also were writing regularly to CSF because we all were facing problems. And one day the CSF got a good DG and he decided to actually take some action and e-security procedures for persons with disabilities at airports. As far as the buses thing was concerned, it was more of, and I'm just giving you these three examples because these are three different examples where three different things worked. Where on Zomato it was more through social media. With the CSF it was more about constantly writing to them till there was one right person because of the challenges that faced. Buses was a thing where I actually read about the buses and I'd actually worked on odd even with both closely with the Delhi government after my PIL in terms of sensitizing people, etc. And I was kind of shocked that despite 2 years of efforts in sensitizing so many officials in the government still decides to buy buses that are not accessible to persons with disabilities. And I felt that ये तो सब बड़ी मेहनत बेकार हो गई अगर दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट अभी भी ऐसे सोच रही है. And that's what really inspired me to go to the court and file PL to ensure that buses for persons with disabilities are accessible. I agree that there are plenty of battles that are there. Persons with disabilities face challenges across all sectors, and I also feel that and COVID-19 has actually shown that that the Department of Disability Affairs or the Ministry of Social Justice cannot be the one-stop solution for persons with disabilities. The best that the department can do is that it can be a nodal agency for persons with disabilities, acting as a link with various other ministries. And during COVID-19, if you see that, for example, whenever anybody's filing an RTI, somebody's writing to them, I've sent various representations through FICCI, where I'm the chair of the disability committee, or through the Foundation. I know I saw your post about Tapas Bhardwaj from who's your colleague doing something very kind of raise awareness on something, and the Ministry of Social Justice was again quick at writing to the right ministry. Just like that, even for us, we need to realize that disability is an intersection with everything. Education also has some link to disability. Health has some link to disability. Information and broadcasting has some link to disability. Transport has some link to disability. So I think it's important to look at areas that we think we can add value in, and also to look at and having dedicated goals in them, and having one or two goals at one particular point of time, and ensuring that you achieve them at a point of time. When I mentioned 8 or 10 achievements right now, I have those 8 or 10 advocacy achievements because I've been going on for the last 8 years since I started Nippon Foundation. It's not that I attacked all 8 or 10 of those issues together. And I completely agree with you, Shamir, when you said, that where you made a very good point that pick up an issue and fight it till the end. And, for example, and I'll give you two examples on the disability sector, like, for example, Smita Sadasavan has been working on making elections accessible. And I think that she's made it her sole objective. And she's doing everything she can to make elections accessible, whether it's working with various other TPOs, whether it's working with the election commission, whether it's she's pushing people to write against the election commission when needed also and take strict action, etc. So she's doing everything needed to do that. I'll give you another example of Dr. Satyendra Singh, who's a medical doctor himself, and he realized that medicine is not accessible for persons with disabilities. And when he meant that, he meant both for medical students and also in terms of sensitizing doctors on how to interact with persons with disabilities. And he's kind of made that battle his own, and he's followed various strategies to do that. So I think it's really up to all of us to really find one niche, maybe focus on one or two battles in that, and take them to the logical conclusion, and then go on to the next thing. Yeah. Because if tomorrow you make that goal, or I make that goal, or Pratishtha makes that goal, that my goal is to make India disabled friendly, it's that is a good goal to have, but that will not lead you anywhere. Having smaller goals that are accomplishable will help you achieve something in life on the other end.
JAF is a youth-led initiative. We deeply appreciate the support of all our interns and volunteers. Thank you. You can follow us on Facebook at Javed Abdi Foundation, and you can tweet us at Rishad Shamir.